Hey guys, I have the SJI 44th edition opened up. I had to download this. It was free, and I'm going to go ahead and post this document in Learning Module number 4. So this is a long document. It's 220 pages, so I'm going to try to skim through this to get to where we need to go for your homework. So anything that you would want to know about bar joist, is going to be found in this document. So if you work for a steel detailer or somebody like that, if you go to work in a place like that, you're going to become really good friends with this document. What we're interested in is K-series joist. So let's take a look. Let's go through this and see if we can get to where we need to be. And I want to try to skim through. Here's some of the different common joist shapes. So this is a parallel chord joist. And you can kind of see here that the top chord and the bottom chord are parallel. You can also use these to cantilever. So if I had a bearing point right here, I could cantilever out beyond the outside wall of the building with a joist similar to this. I could use top chord pitched in one way, and this is an underslung is what they call it. So my bearing is going to be on the ends at this point. You kind of see how this thickens up, and as you get into your text and take a look at the first problem, you'll notice that these are the bearing points. So you can make all kinds of different shapes for these guys. So let's keep moving along here. I'm going to keep going, and there's a ton of technical information in here. So you don't really need a lot of this for this assignment, but here's an example of the cantilever. So let me take a look at your homework here on okay, so on 16.3 it says, what situation would you recommend bottom chord bearing of K-series joists? This is it right here is your answer. It's a cantilever is what it is. So this is a bottom bearing, and it cantilevers out beyond the outside face of a building. So that's 16.3, the example there. Here's bridging details. So this is another question, and they're asking you pretty much how this works or what's used, and all they're doing here is they're using little angles, and they get welded to the top and the bottom chord of the trusses. This is what it looks like in elevation. And we'll try to find the tables here at this point so that we can keep moving, because there's just a ton of information. This is just different bearing examples. I think that your text spells this out pretty good. And here we are. Okay, so here's K-series joist. I'm into the load tables. I just need to find 12. So I'm going to look. Here's 18. Come on. And it's probably the next page down. So the red shaded area of the load table, the row of bridging nearest to the midspan shall be diagonal bridging with bolted connections. It just gives you a little bit about the detailing here of these things. So this is what I'm looking for. This is what we need to do your homework here. But this is standard load table for open web steel joists. These are K-series, and they're asking for let me go over this first here. So I've got a 10K1. I'm going to bump up to a 12K1, 12K3, 12K5. So the 12 is the depth, the K is the style of joist, or the type of joist, and the 1 has to do with the weight of the joist. So obviously with steel, the heavier the weight, the heavier the member, the bigger, the bulkier the pieces, the more it's going to support. Is that right? So let's take a look down here. If I've got a 12K3 that spans 20 feet, so I'm going to scroll down here to 12K3, and my span is over in this column, so I'm going to come down to 20, then go across to the 12K3 20-foot span, and it says, what is its total weight? Show calculation. So look, if 12K3 weighs 5.7 pounds per lineal foot, I'm going to take 5.7 and multiply it by 20, and that's going to give me the weight of that member. So let's see what else. The other various K series that begin with the 12 designation is K1 and K3 and K5. What are the letters and the numbers 12K3 signify? That's, again, the type of joist that we're looking at, and there's a little bit different. There's some other different types that are in this manual, but take a look at, you can take a look at that in the manual here if you get time. So 16.2a, which of the various joists whose designation begins with 12 has the highest load-bearing capacity? Well, if we look at this, I think that, let me try to remember here. I can't remember what the red and, you know, if we just look through at this, if I go to a 12-foot span, all the numbers are the same. But if we get down here to 20 foot, you'll notice that 12K1 will only support 361 pounds per lineal foot, where a 12K5 supports 613 pounds. So again, the heavier, the more material, the more it's going to support when it comes to steel in terms of comparing structural components with the same depth. So both of these are 12 inches deep. They're the same style joist, but the members are not as heavy in the 12K1 as the 12K5. So this 12K5 is going to support almost twice the load as the 12K1. So our answer for that one would be the 5. So refer to pages 57 and 58 of the SJI document. Do you see any relationship between the maximum span rating of joists and their designation? If so, state it. So, all right, so my maximum span for a 12K joist is going to be 24 foot. So what is 24 divided by 2? It's 12. So if I take the depth of the joist and I multiply it by 2, I should end up with the maximum span. So check this out. A 14K is going to span 28 feet. 16K should go what, 32 feet? Yep, sure does. So that's the relationship right there. So just kind of a little rule of thumb. K-series joists are generally used as top chord bearing. So they're wanting you to sketch in elevation they want you to sketch on 16.2C. They just want you to sketch the different types of bearing. So it would be a concrete block wall and a steel beam. And let's see what else we have here. So I'm going to close out of this, and I want to go back to the homework here. So I think that's where we need to go next. So you guys should have a lot of the homework I've already gone through here for you. So some of the questions later on here, yeah, I've gone through a lot of these already for you. So I'm back to your HCAM. In this case, I'm giving you some hints to where you can find this information. So let's go back through this from the beginning. And I'm just really mentioning page numbers in your text on this stuff. I went too far. I'm not happy with this video, by the way. So let me see if I can go back through this. So a sketch of 12K3. If you don't know what those look like, you can find 12K3 on page 430 of your text, figure 18.19. And again, these things show you scale. Each grid division is 1.5 inches. So from this intersection to this intersection is 1.5 inches. So try to draw these to scale when you do them. So this one here, we did take a look at this. If 12K3 weighs 5.7 pounds per foot, how much does a 20-foot joist weigh? So we're just multiplying the weight per foot times the span. And then they're asking you to list the various K sizes whose designation begins with 12. So you can find that in your text, and that's going to be on page 432 of your text. Yeah, what are the numbers and the letters signify? So they want to know what the 12 means, what the K is, and what the 3 is. So 16.2a, which of the various joists whose designation begins with 12 has the highest load carrying capacity, which is the smallest? So I've already explained that to you. Refer to pages 57, 58 in the SJI document. Do you see any relationship between the maximum span rating? And so you can also take a look at that on table 18.2, page 432 of your text. And I did explain that earlier in this video. K-series joists are generally used as top chord bearing. So they're wanting you to they just want you to draw out how it's supported on a block wall and a concrete beam. So you're putting a couple of drawings together, and those drawings are in the text on page 431 of your book. And so in what situation would you recommend the top chord bearing of K joists? And so there is not a drawing in the book on this one, I don't think. But I did show you what that looks like earlier in this video. It's in the SJI document, and it's basically the cantilever that I was talking about earlier. So what is bridging? The text actually changed on this. You'll see bridging on page 433 and 434 of your text, and it's also spelled out in the SJI document. And I think that'll wrap it up. So thank you all, and we'll be back to see you again.